Because of the recent malicious attack on the paid network, Kyle and the paid team has been scrambling, and a lot of people have been wondering what is going to happen. When are the new paid tokens going to be released? We just got recent announcements, and then now what we're going to be doing as well is we're going to be going over the postmortem attack, the paid frequently asked questions, and then highlights of different videos where Kyle was interviewed on what exactly happened and what they're doing moving forward. So I'm going to compile all of those different areas to give you the most up-to-date information. And also I'll place all the links below so you can go to those original videos to get the full picture of everything. I just want to make this video, record it so that you're fully informed of what's happening, especially because the paid token V2 is going to be releasing soon. As you can see, Kyle just made a announcement on Twitter. Paid token V2 shipping soon. Good things to come to those who hold. 2 reward announcements coming soon, along with stacked pipeline of partnerships and IDOs. I'm actually interested. I'm interested to see what the 2 reward announcements are going to be. I wasn't expecting. I actually wasn't expecting this. Here's the paid network attack postmortem. Right after everything happens, whenever there's a crisis, you usually hold a war room. This is where business, IT, and all prominent figures have to get together, no matter the time, no matter what's happening, and then you have to figure out an emergency issue. This is just when everybody who is a stakeholder, who is important and has to make decisions, has to get onto this call so that they can figure this out, because it's potentially affecting millions of members, potentially losing millions of dollars, or maybe a mix of the above. And so that's exactly what happened in this case. So after there's a big issue, after it gets resolved, usually there's another meeting where you have to talk about what is the root cause and what is your mitigation plan so that this doesn't happen again. We're going to go through this and then quickly update you on the main points of this investigation. Again, you can read this full letter in the description below. The attacker exploited paid network deployer contract to steal over 59 million paid tokens. They use a compromised private key to the original contract deployer to leverage the upgrade function of the smart contract. They upgraded a new smart contract to have the ability to burn and create new tokens or remit new tokens. This was about 2,501,203 paid tokens on Uniswap were sold for a total of about 2,040 ETH before it was discovered. Then that's when you saw all those communications. We asked all the paid token holders to cease all transactions in order to mitigate future risks. Then they got all these industry experts to come in, people like Cypherblade, Parsec, and a lot of other people, especially since Kyle's been in the industry for a while. He had other friends reach out to him willing to help. Here's talking about what they did to prevent further damage. Paid Network is relaunching its own token to wipe out the attacker from the ledger and blockchain of the token holders. And then they're moving control of the new token contract to a multi-sig. They'll talk about this more further. Securing comprehensive security and process audits to ensure that we never are again vulnerable. Again, mitigation plan. What are you going to do to make sure this never happens again? This is an overall timeline. It's basically what we talked about and what I've covered in previous videos. This is the technical analysis of the attack. This is where they're going to go into the root cause. Root cause was 2 vulnerabilities, leaked private key, and a failure in key management process. Our code was not compromised, and we maintained faith in our Certic audit. So that's a good thing. It wasn't a failure in the code. It wasn't a vulnerability within the code or an exploit that they took advantage of. As far as we know, the code is solid, and that it was due to these other vulnerabilities. The first one being a private key leak. At this time, they're not disclosing details on how the private key was leaked, and they believe it wasn't a malicious leak. Kyle explains it pretty well inside his interview with Ivan on Tech, so I'm gonna go to that right now. This is where Kyle's gonna talk about the first failure, which is the private key leak, specifically with their mnemonic phrases for proxy contract. He's gonna talk about this. This is where he explains that part of it. The report was released, and then the next day the next day, Kyle talks about this on Ivan on Tech.
And this comes from a lack of really like, okay, so that was one of them, was poor key management, and another one is the fact that there was a responsible party who we contracted to create our token contracts for us. And I assume that, and then after he created the contracts for us, he walked me through a process of transferring that contract ownership to myself. So we got on a video call. He said, okay, now I'm transferring the contract to you. And I thought I was using best key management practices because I was using my private key that was secured on my hardware wallet. And the contract was transferred to myself. And as far as my knowledge understood, I was now the owner of the contract. I later understood from speaking to other industry experts that the original owner of the proxy contract needs to be removed. It's not enough just to transfer a new owner onto the contract, but that original key needs to be removed. And I understand that it was not. That is one of the vulnerabilities there. So after this responsible party I was working with, then later got contracted to do another job for another project. From what I understand, he then gave our private repo that included our mnemonic seed to the project to use as a reference when looking at the vesting schedules that we used. That project then uploaded at some point that repository to GitHub and made it public. And that's where our mnemonic phrase was exposed. An attacker found the mnemonic phrase, was able to restore it and gain access to our admin proxy contract.
Okay, so that was Kyle explaining the contractor piece, and basically that contractor made a huge mistake. The code repository was uploaded to GitHub, and then that was when it was made public. Pretty irresponsible for him to use the same code without realizing that there might be private client information within the code for a different client. And then that project, it somehow got uploaded to GitHub and then was made public. GitHub is a place where it's like a control versioning for code, and then it's also a place where you can share code and you can keep iterating on code and making it better. So basically they uploaded to a public area, and then that's where the attacker got access to the mnemonic phrases. And then because of that access to the mnemonic phrases of this contract that was owned by the contractor, they got access to that. And then because they had access to that proxy admin address, they were able to create a new smart contract that created this exploit, and then was able to burn tokens because they were already at max supply and then remint them. The second part is key management failure. The compromised private key provided access to the paid token contract was used to modify the token contract to allow the attacker to maliciously burn and then remint the tokens, which was what I mentioned earlier. Proceeded to sell reminted tokens on Uniswap for ETH until the liquidity on the Uniswap pair was pulled by the paid network. They actually moved pretty quick and mitigated the damage because they caught this early enough to $3 million. Because in the interviews, Kyle talks about how he was about to go to sleep, and then one of his teammates came up to his room and was pounding on the door. So luckily they caught it before they went to sleep. This is where he was talking about ownership of the contract was not fully transferred. And then where they were mistaken and assumed full responsibility for the lack of thorough verification. But this has to do with the contractor and not removing the proxy contract. Here are the different steps and the Ethernet scans and transactions that you can track, and you can look through what the attacker did. So again, you can go through the Ethernet scan if you want to look at all the different transactions. Link is in the description below. So what's next for the paid network? Ultimately, this hack was the result of several security failures, relaunching the token contract to wipe out the attacker's tokens. This is going to be V2 paid. I'm going to jump to what Kyle talks about on Crypto Banter of how they're moving forward. It'll better explain this and the other things that they're doing, in Kyle's words, to make people whole again.
Anybody that might have suffered losses were made whole, and I want to make that clear to people from the very beginning.
Okay, so what do you mean by made whole? As far as I understand, what you're going to do is you're going to take a snapshot of the ledger before the hack and basically reissue people their tokens, especially those that sold to the hacker or bought from the hacker. So those people will be made whole. How else will you make people whole?
This is one of the things right now. Our contract, by the way, is V2 is pretty much ready to go. But one of the things that's been holding us up right now is trying to analyze all the data that we have. And it's not as easy as just taking a snapshot at the moment before the hack and airdropping those tokens back to the wallet holders. You have a lot of other considerations, like the tokens that were being staked in Unifarm and Launchpool, for example, the tokens that were in Gate.io, for example. These things are not easily seen on blockchain. Another thing is liquidity providers in Uniswap. If it was as easy as just dropping to people right before the hack, we would have had things up and running again already. But there's a lot to take into consideration, especially when you're trying to, see who is trading. People traded after the dump. Either people panic sold or they were trying to buy the dip, and so we have to try to figure out, assess the damage and figure out how do we compensate these people who, were, especially people that were buying paid because they thought they were buying a dip.
So are you going to compensate the people that bought the dip? In other words, even after you issued the announcement and told people not to buy paid and to pull their liquidity, you're going to still make those people whole?
For up to an hour after I made the announcement. So obviously not until today, but we made the announcement. It gave it time to propagate through crypto Twitter and our Telegram announcement channel, things like that. We share it with our influencers, we share it with our network. I think that tweet that I put out had something like 700,000 impressions. It was well propagated quite quickly. Yeah, so that's what we plan on doing about 1 hour after the announcement. So it's about 3.5 hours after the attack.
Okay, so I think we understand what you guys are doing. And I must say, I commend you because I think you're going over and above. You don't need to make people that try to buy the dip and weren't informed. And I think what you're doing is highly, highly, highly commendable.
It is highly commendable. And it's a great move because you just lost the trust of people who invested a lot of money into you because they believe in the project, they believe in you, they believe in the team. And then now the trust has been broken. Now you have to start rebuilding that. And then this is a great start. Unfortunately, for those people who may have traded or invested in paid, he said about 3.5 hours after the attack, which is about an hour after the announcement. If you invested, say you don't check crypto Twitter, you don't check Telegram, you don't check into any of those new channels, or any of the influencers you follow didn't know about this, you weren't informed, and then you thought you were buying the dip, and it was an hour after those announcements have gone through. If you were unfortunate to invest at that time, there isn't anything that's going to be done to compensate you. It's unfortunate. My heart goes out to you, and I'm sorry for those people who experienced that loss. The next thing is moving the contract control to a multi-sig. So this is moving it from, because previously it was one admin address. That's a single point of failure. Now they're changing it from a single point of failure to multi-contract control. So it's gonna be controlled by multi-sig. No one underneath the C-level team. Never again will Pay Network be vulnerable to the compromise of a single private key, and all contract changes will have to be cleared by multi-sig key holders. So that's good news, is that this moving forward, it can't be a single point of failure, and then it had to go through approval. This is a great change, and it's great to know that this is what they're changing as well. And then here, comprehensive security and process audits. Going forward, we will commission security process audits and seek out expertise on information technology security best practices. I'd actually want to know what has changed previously with your previous audits, your security audits, and what is moving forward. Is it frequency going to change? Is it intensity? And how often this is going to happen? And what else changed within the security that the team is moving on from here? As well as this, all private keys will be heavily secured if in use or if not destroyed. So this goes back to earlier vulnerability that they were talking about. This was a top highlighted side medium. A lot of people highlighted this. I have dedicated the last 9 years of my life into crypto. This is one of the reasons why I didn't believe that Kyle himself did it, because why would he sacrifice paid network and his reputation all to risk it for just $3 million? Paid network is definitely worth a lot more than that. Everything that he's done in the industry and will continue to do in the industry, in my opinion, is not worth the sacrifice of just trying to make a quick buck, especially since he's invested into crypto early and has made such an impact inside the community. We're gonna go over the paid V2 token FAQ. If there's anything that's the same information from the postmortem report or the previous videos that we talked about as well, I'm not gonna cover that. You can read the whole thing here. I'm just gonna cover all of the interesting announcements and maybe any new updates within this document. This is gonna clarify about the attack, but also clarify the paid V2 token launch and airdrop process, which is what we're going to be more diving into because they're going into a lot more detail here. 2, was your smart contract hacked? Was the paid dApp on the Ignition platform affected? No, the smart contract code remains secure as attested by CertiK. 3, how do upgradable contracts work, and how do owning private keys give you access to minting functions? How did this lead to the hack? Upgradable contracts let you improve a smart contract over time without requiring users to switch to a new contract with every update. They are owned by an address, which has the power to change the smart contract. Whoever owns the private keys to an address effectively owns that address. When the private key in question was compromised, the hacker gained access to the upgradable contract and used that functionality to create new minting functions in the paid V1 token contract. All paid V1 token holders will receive the corresponding amount in paid V2. We have forked the original audited paid contract and received additional third-party code review, and will launch a paid V2 token within the next 24 to 48 hours. As we saw with Kyle's recent update, that it should be coming soon. How will paid V2 tokens be airdropped? How does this distribution process work? The paid V2 token distribution will be done via airdrop. Here, no user action is required to receive your paid V2 tokens, which is awesome, making it easy for us to not do anything. That's awesome. There's 2 main airdrops. The basis of the first airdrop is a snapshot of the paid V1 token ledger immediately before the attacker began selling paid on Uniswap. This will distribute paid V2 based on the wallet balances in the snapshot. So you're basically just going to be getting the same amount of paid tokens you had right before the attacker began selling on Uniswap. The second airdrop will be based on trading activity in hours following the hack. The paid team is going to compensate users based on paid tokens within 4 hours. So they increased it initially. Earlier we heard about 3.5 hours. They increased it to, or rounded up to, 4 hours following the hack, which occurred on Friday, March 5th at 20 Universal Time +2. The precise calculation of the number of paid V2 tokens airdrop will be disclosed ahead of time and will be based on the dollar value of the V1 tokens at the time of the purchase. I highlighted this in orange because it's good to know that we don't have to do anything. No user action is required to receive paid V2 tokens. They will be airdropped directly to your address. Great. To be clear, there will be no penalty for anyone who sold in a panic following the attack. Their balances will be restored as reflected in the snapshot. I have paid tokens on Gate.io. Will I be airdrop paid V2 tokens? We are working with the Gate.io team to airdrop paid V2 to holders who stored their tokens on Gate.io. This airdrop will take longer to complete as it's dependent on working with the Gate.io team. Next, I'm staking paid tokens on Launchpool or Unifarm. Will I be airdrop paid V2 tokens? We are working with the Launchpool Unifarm team to airdrop paid V2 tokens to paid V1 token holders using these services. This airdrop will take longer to complete as it's dependent on working with our partners. When will paid V2 be launching? Is there anything different about the token? What will happen to paid V1 token? Paid V2 is set to launch within the next 24 to 48 hours, barring any unforeseen delays. There is no difference in the utility between V2 tokens for the paid DApp or Ignition. The only difference between the tokens is that the V2 token in essence erases the attacker's theft. What is the paid core team doing to ensure this never happens again? Again, mitigation plan, and they want to reiterate what they're doing moving forward. It's a lot of the same things that we covered earlier, engaging with industry experts on key management best practices, and then everything that we talked about with multi-sig wallets. This is interesting. I remember in Kyle's tweet, he talked about rewards come to those who hold or hodl, as a demonstration of our appreciation to all paid holders that stood by us through this trying time by not buying or selling paid tokens, following our instructions to not transact at 2120 Universal Time +2. Paid network will be awarding one lottery ticket in each of the 3 upcoming IDOs. We are honored by our community's continued support and loyalty. This is pretty big. An IDO, for those people who don't know what an IDO is, here's an article from Altcoin Buzz. This is talking about Ignition, which is the IDO platform for the paid network. An IDO is initial DEX offering. DEX is a decentralized exchange, and so this is their platform. And so what this does, this is going to be the one-stop shop for the growth of the global community and swapping tokens. Quickly about Ignition, I'll probably go in depth about Ignition in the future, but here is a protocol for decentralized swapping. Ignition enables the offering of public and private swaps from blockchain-based token projects. And you're probably wondering, okay, so how is this different from an ICO, initial coin offering? What is an IDO? So here, initial DEX offering, so initial decentralized exchange offering. The goal for crypto and blockchain, as we know, is to solve the dependency on centralized platforms and financial models. This is the aim of DeFi. The initial DEX offering is becoming the preferred method to distribute tokens and raise capital in DeFi. The fundraising model of the IDO is similar to an IEO, ICO, STO, despite it being based on DeFi. Which is created to build innovative, robust, easily scalable, open finances. IDO is decentralized and offers ways for DeFi. Basically, it's a way for you to get into a project and invest in it early. Here, what is the difference between an IDO, ICO, IEO? IEO, IDO in general are the same except for the platform that hosts the fundraising process. In general, all of these, the goal is to raise capital. Speaking of ICO, a project takes full responsibility to manage transactions and operations on an inner platform. If it's an IEO, a centralized exchange hosts the ICO in-house. And then an IDO is the ICO and IEO both in one, but instead it's a centralized exchange is replaced by decentralized one. So that's why a lot of people like the idea of an IDO better, because it's more decentralized. The IDO has a great advantage on an IEO because for an IEO you need to pay an exchange fee, which are raising up and up as the market develops. But for an IDO, you don't need anybody's permission because it's not centralized. It's completely synonymous with decentralization, and instead of exchanges, local community members are the ones who vet the projects and the tokens, and this opens new horizons. One lottery ticket to get into three upcoming IDOs. There's some major projects that have been launched on Ignition. One of them specifically, if you look at the ticker on alts I don't own, and you look at one of them that I'm looking at, one of them I'm looking at is DAOs or shadows. It's synthetic financial products. So if you look for synthetics and you look at the market cap of synthetics, this has the potential to do the same thing, but this is on the Polkadot platform. When this initially launched on Ignition, you can see here on Ignition, the token price was 12 cents, or 13 cents if you want to round up. 12.5. Shadows now is $3.04. Private sales, if you're able to get in early, extremely lucrative. There's always going to be risk though. You always have to be aware of the project that you're investing in, the team. Always be aware of that, because with the initial ICOs back in the day, that's where the original term rug pull came from. They just bounce and then everyone lost their money. With Ignition, if I'm understanding this correctly, Paid Network will be awarding one lottery ticket in each of the 3 upcoming IDOs, which is pretty big. With the lottery ticket, so you don't have a guaranteed spot. You have to win the lottery, and then if you win the lottery, you can invest into the projects. But the projects have a potential, based on what I've been seeing inside IDOs and private sales, and being able whitelist sales, and being able to get in early before it's released to the public or fully released in general. The potential, always do your own research, know the project that you are. There's still a lot of risks. This is not investment advice, this is not financial advice, but the potential, and as you can see, if you got into DAOs early, synthetics financial product, the team, the project, the fundamentals look great. Initial token price, 12 cents. These are the 3 upcoming projects. I've been looking into Split. The groups that I'm in with some of the investors who've been in this space for a while are pretty excited about Split. I'm just gonna show these 3 different projects. Okay, I'm gonna show these just the front page of these 3 different projects, so you can do more research on this. But this will give you a good idea of what these 3 projects, and if you're a paid holder, that you get the potential to participate in these. These look like these are the three ones that are coming up, and that is a great reward for those people who did hold and continue to support with everything that happens. That's a great move. I wasn't expecting that. They did go above and beyond my expectation with handling this. Polka Foundry, one-stop production hub for DeFi applications on Polkadot. Polka Foundry is the platform for creating borderless and frictionless DeFi apps. It's designed to unleash developers to explore new horizons of the DeFi landscape. IOZ, I don't know how to pronounce this. IOZ network, layer 1 blockchain based CDN, which is a content delivery network open to the new era of the internet, streaming powered by you. This is very, very interesting. So they're going to be a content delivery network. They have a video sharing platform locally powered, values viewers and creators from high quality content to cryptocurrency. Subscription video service allows you to stream your favorite shows and movies paid by coins via your this thing wallet. IOZ TV. This is my first time reading about this project. I've seen it. I just haven't looked up any content on it. So apologize that I can't pronounce this. TV is a live streaming app that turns your real life events into a business, broadcasting your moments. This platform, so a content delivery network it's going to be a highly saturated market, but this is going to fulfill a decentralized niche. And that's going to be very, very interesting to see how this does. I'm excited to keep track of this and to see how this project does in the future. And then Split, the NFT infrastructure to power decentralized finance and e-commerce markets. So they already have like an MVP where you can create NFTs on Shopify and then post it to the blockchain and then post it to your Shopify account, and then people can buy NFTs. But they're doing more than that. I'm excited to see more about the team. I've been looking at interviews. Am I going to participate in all three of these? On the lottery, yes. I'm going to participate in all of these. I'm going to redo more research. How much I invest is going to depend on how much I believe in the fundamentals, the team, and my checklist of everything that they're doing. But I'm definitely gonna be part of that lottery. Also, one of the things that I have to take into account, and I'm gonna have to ask the paid team, is because I'm in the US, am I able to participate within Ignition? Because I know some private sales for the US, I remember trying to get into Split's pre-sale, but because of some of the regulations within the US, we're not able to participate, or that's what the team emailed me. So do more research on that as well. I'm gonna look into that more as well. But I've just been ignoring any white sales because I'm in the US and I don't want to get in trouble. But do your own research to see if the regulations apply to you in your country, or even within the US. I could still have outdated information. Good job on the paid team, working fast, making people whole again as best as they can in what they deemed fair, and for paid showing their appreciation through something that I didn't think that they were going to be doing. But this is a great way to reward the support of all paid token holders as a pleasant surprise, and to start rebuilding that relationship with everybody. This is a great reward in my opinion, and I'm excited. Looks like they're doing everything that they can, being transparent, making great PR moves, doing what they feel is best for the community, and there's a lot of positive support. I'm excited because I am a paid holder, and to see the progress that they are making and they have made, and how fast that they're doing this, and the pleasant surprises that I've been witnessing, it's great to hear this. Like the video if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel to get more updated information inside the crypto space. Cheers, we'll talk soon, take care, bye.